All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling the big, complex world of IT operations. We're going to break down three major philosophies: ITOps, DevOps, and the futuristic NoOps to really get a handle on how companies manage their tech. At the heart of this entire conversation, there's one fundamental tension. It's this constant push and pull. Do you move as fast as humanly possible to get new features out the door? Or do you lock things down to make sure your systems are rock solid and stable? This one question is really the engine that has driven the entire evolution of how we manage IT. So let's start at the beginning with IT ops, or IT operations. You might also hear it called TechOps. This is the traditional, foundational team whose mission for decades has been super clear: keep the lights on. They're the guardians of the existing tech environment, and their job is to make sure everything just works. So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, the IT ops team is managing all the core hardware. The servers, the data centers, the networks. They're the ones in charge of security. They run the help desk when you have a problem. And, this is a big one, they handle the backup and disaster recovery plans that are absolute lifesavers when things go sideways. Now, an IT ops team isn't just winging it. Their whole world is often governed by a framework called ITIL. The easiest way to think about ITIL is like an official rule book. It's a massive collection of best practices for, well, pretty much everything, from how to handle a simple service request to how to manage a major crisis. It's all about ensuring consistency and control. And that really gets to the core philosophy here. In a world run by IT ops and ITIL, the name of the game is stability, predictability, and control. Every single change is carefully managed, documented, and reviewed to prevent any kind of disruption and keep risk to an absolute minimum. And this slide just perfectly illustrates the classic conflict that started to bubble up. On one side, you've got your development teams. Their whole mission is to build cool new stuff and ship it fast. But on the other side, you've got the operations teams, and their mission is to prevent any change that might break something. You can see how these two goals are just fundamentally at odds. It creates a massive bottleneck. And out of that gridlock came DevOps. Now, it's super important to understand that DevOps isn't just a new team or a fancy tool. It's a totally different culture. The whole point is to break down that wall between development and operations, smash the silos, and create one collaborative workflow where everybody shares responsibility for both speed and stability. The DevOps world revolves around this idea of a continuous life cycle. It's a never-ending loop. You plan, you code, you build, you run a bunch of automated tests, then you release, deploy to your users, and operate the system in the real world. And all the data and feedback you get from that, it feeds right back into the planning phase for the next cycle. It's all about moving fast and iterating. Okay, so we get the theory. We know where they came from and what they're trying to do. But what does this actually look like in practice? When the rubber meets the road, how different are these two philosophies? This chart just lays out the contrast so clearly. Look at the primary focus. DevOps is all about speed and automation, pushing out a constant stream of small automated updates. Meanwhile, ITIL, the heart of ITOps, is all about service stability and process. For ITIL, change is a big event that requires formal approvals and documentation. The cultures couldn't be more different either. It's shared ownership in DevOps versus very defined roles and responsibilities in ITIL. But, the evolution doesn't just stop there. As automation got more and more powerful, this new, even more radical idea started to take shape: NoOps. It really takes the principles of DevOps and pushes them to their absolute logical extreme. So, the grand vision of NoOps, or no operations, is to create an IT environment that is so automated that it basically runs itself. The dream is to make all that infrastructure management totally invisible, so that developers can spend 100% of their time just focusing on writing great code without ever having to worry about the servers and networks underneath. And you can see why this is so appealing, right? When you fully automate things, you dramatically cut down on the chances for human error. Developer productivity goes through the roof because they're not getting bogged down with operational chores. And of course, if you can develop and ship things even faster, the business makes money faster. It's a win-win-win. But we have to pump the brakes a little here. It's really important to remember that the no in NoOps is an ideal. It's not a literal description of reality just yet. Even the most sophisticated, self-healing automated systems on the planet still need actual humans for maintenance, for repairs, and for dealing with those weird, unexpected problems that the automation just wasn't built to handle. So, this all brings us to the really crucial, practical question for any business. How do you choose? Which path is right for you? Let's start by looking at the situations where that traditional control-first approach of ITOps and ITIL is not just a good idea, but probably essential. You're definitely going to lean hard on ITOps if you're in a heavily regulated industry like banking or healthcare, where every little change has to be documented for auditors. It's also the right call when your system uptime is absolutely non-negotiable. Think about airline reservation systems or power grids. And it's a must if you're dealing with complex, old legacy systems that just can't be easily automated. Okay, so what about the other side of the coin? What are the telltale signs that a speed-focused DevOps culture is the clear winner for you? Well, DevOps is going to be your best friend if your whole business model is built on shipping software updates constantly, like a modern SaaS company. If you're running on modern cloud-native tech like microservices, and your teams are already thinking in an agile, innovative way, then DevOps is the engine that's going to let you compete and win. But here is the real secret, and probably the most important takeaway from all of this. For the vast majority of companies out there, this isn't an either-or choice. The smartest, most successful organizations find a way to get the best of both worlds. They use the speed and automation of DevOps for their everyday, low-risk work while still applying the strict controls of ITOps to the most critical, high-risk parts of their business. So we started this whole thing with the question of speed or stability, but as we've seen, that's really the wrong way to look at it. The real challenge, and honestly the real opportunity, is to stop thinking of them as enemies. The question you should be asking yourself is this: how are you going to architect a system that gives you both speed and stability together?